Today's topic deals with artificial intelligence and the economy and what this means for academia. There's a lot going on here. I want to start off by giving you a quick little quote, right? Because this is going to sort of be an aspect of something that we go back to again and again. This quote comes to us from Nobel Prize winning economist Milton Friedman. He says that there is one and only one social responsibility of business: to use its resources and engage in activities designed to increase its profits. Only people can have responsibilities. Now, I say that quote, right? It's a great quote because that's something for us to keep in mind, that a business is in business to make money. Now, sure, there's all sorts of great businesses out there, so I'm not taking away from anyone's business, but its primary goal of a business is to make money. So we can't rely on AI companies to always do the right thing. They're not going to be 100% guided by what's best for humanity. They're going to be, a large aspect is going to be guided by making money. And that's what a business should do. So we have to keep that in mind. So that means it comes to us, the individual, the people, the society, the governments, to make proper decisions on how to move forward. So now let's talk about the economy and what AI is doing to the economy and will do to the economy. So first and foremost, let's look here at the World Economic Forum, their new report that just came out. This is a 2025 report, and look at some of the key aspects, their key findings, their key predictions as to what's happening and what will happen into the future. So this Future of Jobs Report 2025, this brings perspectives from over 1,000 leading global employers from all across the world. Some of the key findings that they have here are that aging populations are driving growth in healthcare jobs such as nursing professions, while growing working age populations are fueling growth in education related professions such as higher education teachers. This is an interesting finding in that on average, workers can expect that 2/5, 39% of their existing skill set will be transformed or become outdated over the 2025 to 2030 period. And what are those skills that still need to be there? Analytical thinking remains the most sought after core skill among employers. 7 out of 10 companies considering it as essential in 2025. This is followed by resilience, flexibility, and agility, along with leadership and social influence. And here's a big one. Half of employers plan to reorientate their business in response to AI. 2/3 plan to hire talent with specific AI skills, while 40% anticipate reducing their workforce where AI can automate tasks. So there's already a big part. 40% plan to reduce their workforce where AI seems that it can automate some tasks. Keep that in mind as well, because there's plenty more as far as what this World Economic Forum report tells us. Here's a powerful chart talking about technology trends driving business transformation from 2025 to 2030. Number one thing is AI and information processing technologies. Number two, robots and autonomous systems. Huge impact. And here is another big thing that I really want everyone to concentrate on. It says, looking further ahead, some observers argue that generative AI could empower less specialized employees to perform a greater range of expert tasks, expanding the possible functions of roles such as accounting clerks, nurses, and teaching assistants. And I think that goes for many other different jobs out there, meaning that, hey, I can do more than I have been in the past, right? I can do some expert type things. Why? Because I have access to this knowledge instantly that will help me in making an expert level decision so that I can do more things. So keep that in mind as far as current employees or employees at a certain level, they'll be able to do much more. Not only will I be able to do my job, but I'll be able to do maybe this person's job and this person's job all within one employee. So that's a powerful thing as far as what they're at least identifying here. So that's some good overall information that, yes, this World Economic Forum report is giving us. And there is some great stuff in there. I think they did some good hard work putting it all together. But here's where I think it's starting to fall apart as far as their predictions on job growth and job losses. So let's look at this chart. So their big overall prediction here is that and how global employment will change by 2030 is that in the next 5 years, 170 million jobs are projected to be created and 92 million jobs to be displaced. So what does that equal to? That means that this is basically a net employment increase of 7% or 78 million jobs. So what that means is that, hey, whether it's because of AI or other issues, there's going to be this amount going down in jobs. But whether it's for AI or other reasons, there's going to be this much increase in other jobs going up. So let's look at what jobs they're even talking about. So first of all, here are the fastest growing jobs that they're predicting. Big data specialists, fintech engineers, AI machine learning specialists, software and application developers, security management specialists, data warehouse specialists, anonymous electronic vehicle specialists, UI and UX designers. So in this new economy, some of the specific careers that we should really be pushing for and understanding are things like AI scientists, data scientists. That's all in there. We hear a lot about that, so that's great. But other things such as robot engineer, human robot interaction specialist, systems integration engineer, meaning that students would know software and hardware together. That's going to become more and more important. AI ethicists, meaning that it's someone that focuses on the ethics of AI. But other things such as robot teleoperation, robot maintenance, these are all important different aspects of the new economy, the new careers that are going to be popping up and developing more and more. So we need to be able to do that. So it's not just a matter of being someone that is effective in their field, but effective in their field also with AI. So let's give an example of a nurse. Great, you've developed and you've gained your capability of a nurse, but can you also step into a robot? Meaning that can you teleoperate a robot effectively so that you can be a nurse in this hospital that's in another country, in another state, so that you're operating this robot effectively and still being a good nurse to your patient. That's going to be this new reality with so much capability now that we have AI, now that we have more and more robotics. So this is something to prepare for the future. Okay, that makes sense as far as those jobs, it's rapidly growing. But we have to ask ourselves, how many of those jobs, right? Because we're not going to need that many of those type of jobs. Sure, we'll need a bunch more, but not that much. So that's something, although it might be increasing as far as the numbers, it's not going to be a huge number that we're going to need. It's not like, hey, we need, several million of these. So keep that in mind. It's fastest growing, but it won't be the fastest amount. And then what's really weird is that they put in things like light truck or delivery service drivers. Are you sure about that? We have lots of things going on as far as autonomous vehicles. Now let's look at the top fastest declining jobs. We have postal service clerks, bank tellers and related clerks, data entry clerks, cashiers and tickets clerks, administrative assistants, accounting, bookkeeping, graphic designers, telemarketers. Yes, those are the ones that are going to be declining. And here's the big thing. Those jobs, those are the ones that they have a lot of people in them. There's a lot of people that work in those industries. So those are going to be declining and there's going to be much more of them. But this report doesn't really take that into account, right? And so they have another one here where it talks about growing jobs. So let's look at that. So in this chart, it's saying that the largest growing number of jobs is going to come from farm workers, laborers, and other agricultural workers. And then the second to that will be light truck and delivery service drivers. Again, I think they're totally missing the mark here because of automation, because there's going to be more and more automation, whether that's humanoid robots, which I think is going to start to really cut into that, or it's just more automation from other types of robots that are specifically designed to do things like what we're talking about here. We have autonomous vehicles, we have humanoid robots coming at a huge, huge amount very quickly that this report does not fully take into account. So I think those numbers are going to drastically change. Other things like software applications, okay, I think that's going to be reduced again because a software and application developer will be able to do the work of many, many other software developers because they'll have AI to assist them. Same thing with shop salespeople. AI is going to be able to assist with that. So there's going to be much more going on there with AI addressing that issue. Automation is going to definitely affect food processing and related trade workers. Car, van, motorcycle drivers, again, automation. We have drone delivery. We have AI taxis, all sorts of different things. Food and beverage service workers, growing amount of AI and robotics in that sector as well. And that's the big thing. Lots of jobs will be lost. They will be lost, and they're going to go away in a very different way, right? It's one of those things that it's not going to be like, hey, even if AGI happens, right? I don't want to bring that into the conversation too much, but even if it were to happen, it's not going to be this thing where a switch simply slips and changes in the economy. It's not going to happen that way. There's been several different companies that have come out and directly said, hey, guess what? We're now using AI and we've been able to get rid of so many different employees, thousands of employees. That's happened on several occasions. And you know what happened? Bad things to them. Why? Because nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to see that, as far as that doesn't look good for a company to say that now they can fire all these employees because they've integrated AI. It doesn't look good for their PR, right? For the public relations. That doesn't look good. That doesn't come across well. People don't like to see that. So I think a lot of companies are seeing that. So now when we hear about thousands of jobs being lost due to restructuring, thousands of jobs being lost in different industries because of changes in efficiencies, yeah, that's AI, but they're not going to come out and say AI. It's going to be very difficult to hear those type of words coming out saying that, oh, because of AI, we haven't hired people in a long time and we're not going to be hiring these type of people because we're doing more with less. That's just not going to be a good PR move for any company. So we're not going to hear that directly. So it's going to happen more and more, but it's going to be a bit more under the radar. This is going to happen in different ways. Some of it will be direct, meaning that, hey, yeah, you're fired. The other part is going to be more of, hey, we can let these people go when they retire or when they move on and not hire someone new. Why? Because our existing employees can do much more. So that's one. And then the other one is going to be that, hey, we're going to be bringing in robots to be doing some of this. So humanoid robots will be able to do different types of jobs. And again, this goes throughout all industry and it'll happen at different rates. So in the food industry, we're already seeing more and more robots that can directly help in food preparation and creation and delivery, all these things. But we have to think about it. How will society accept these things? I think society will still want to have humans at whenever they go to a restaurant. Okay, robots and automation will still be able to drastically affect the workforce because they'll simply be working in the back. You won't see them. You won't have to see them. You'll have a real person that will take your order, maybe take you your food, but in the back there could be plenty of robots that are creating the actual food, doing different food prep. So you can see that any industry, even industries where we might think that society will say, no, I don't want that there, it'll still be there, but in different ways. So think about it, any different economic portion, and yeah, there could be a robot or AI that's assisting and moving that forward. So we have that to think about. And another report that I want to mention is this NPR report, this news article, right? In this article, they talk about how, hey, they went to a conference where it was all the top economists from the United States talking about AI in the economy, saying that, hey, AI won't be taking over everybody's jobs yet, but they have no timeline. So again, very vague information. And they say that, and then in the article it also says, oh, and to get to the conference, we went into an autonomous vehicle and got driven there. Oh, okay, well then where are the jobs for the taxi drivers? Gone because of those Waymo taxis that they took, right? So that's a big thing. We have robo taxis coming out, we have Waymo coming out, and we have a president coming in that's going to be much more favorable towards AI. So you can see how laws and regulations, as far as things like autonomous vehicles, those are probably going to be allowed so that that industry is going to shift. So that means that there's going to be a lot of jobs. Think about all the taxi drivers. Think about all of the Uber drivers out there, right? That's all going to shift away to autonomous vehicles. Again, won't happen overnight, but slowly but surely that's going to happen. And it's going to be relatively quick, but still done in a way so that it's not so super obvious. So that's why it's important for us to make sure that we are part of this understanding so that we can push this to our administrators, push this to the people making policies and decisions so that we can address these issues, because we're going to have lots of people without jobs, or at least without full employment. So we have to consider, what can we do? So those two, what economists are thinking and the World Economic Forum, they're missing several things. They're missing, one is the rate of AI improvement. So whatever they're talking about right now, Whatever they stated in the reports, that's based off of, oh, what has AI been able to do here within the last 5 years, right? That rate has been very slow of development with AI. Now that we have AI, as far as full generative AI, it's unbelievable now. The rate of improvement is going to continue to go up and up. So that means the application of AI in the economy is going to increase as well. So that's one thing. And then very similar to that is this aspect of agentic AI, right? If an AI can not only help you with prediction, not only help you with solving certain problems in this way, but to actually do actions and do multi-step things, such as through an AI agent, well, then that's going to radically change the way that it can be used in many different businesses. So they're not taking that into account. It doesn't mention that at all in either of those two articles. So you can see they're missing out on that. And then the third biggest one is also robotics, right? AI infused robots is going to be huge, whether that's 2025 or 2026. I fully believe 2025, by the end of 2025, we'll see AI robots in many different aspects. So I do think this is the year of the robot, and that's really going to drastically change the economy. So what are the solutions, right? I mentioned a bunch of problems, but what are the solutions? What are the things to take into account? What can be done? There's lots of different possibilities, but we need to ensure that this is placed on the forefront and this is being pushed to our leaders. Because if this occurs slowly but surely without enough coverage, without enough media attention to people losing jobs, then there's going to be social unrest. And we don't want that because that causes all sorts of other problems. So here are some possible solutions, some possible ideas for us to implement. My first one is something that I haven't really heard too much out there, right? And that's this idea that, hey, there should be a new mandate that means that everyone, every person in the United States, in the world, let's say, has access to free AI. That should be a new requirement. That, hey, if you're a big AI company, you need to provide an always available free tier. Yes, that might not be the newest, most powerful AI, but it still needs to be a highly functional AI. That needs to be a new requirement that, hey, everyone has a right to receive AI. So that even someone that is maybe not as economically well off, that doesn't have access to a subscription plan, they will always know that they have access to an AI. I think now that we're moving into this world where AI is infused with everything, that needs to remain a thing so that even people with lower economic status can still reliably access AI. I think that should be a new mandate, and that will be part of being able to ensure that people can at least somewhat compete by having access to this type of powerful tool. My next solution deals with ongoing upskilling or reskilling. This needs to be something that isn't just sort of talk, but something that becomes an aspect of our lives, meaning that we should have some sort of allowance that is given to us, whether that's something that's required of employees to provide or something that comes directly from the government, meaning that we have an allowance to use where maybe it's a certification or a micro credential that we can use and implement at any time, right? That's just sort of an ongoing thing that every, let's say, 6 months, we can use this much to implement to continue our education so that we have more skills, more capabilities. I think that would be a great thing to help it so that we can become employable throughout all of our lives. So that means additional skills, additional capabilities. Again, this could be handled in several different ways. Along with that, there needs to be this aspect of there's an understanding that, hey, everyone that's going into the workforce, they should understand right now that, hey, lifelong learning, that's expected. That's the new reality. It shouldn't be a shock to you if all of a sudden you realize, oh, I need to gain this new skill. I need to learn about this. I need to become a professional dealing with that. That should be the new reality now because of ongoing advancements with AI, changing in the way things are structured. So that needs to be something that we push in academia as well, right? As a student is going through getting their education, we're constantly telling this that, hey, this is the way things work, and that throughout the rest of your life, you should stay connected to our educational institution or another educational institution so that you can continually develop your capabilities. Quickly come back in and get a certification in something. Quickly come back in, get a micro credential in something. but always have this growth mindset so that you can continue to develop, continue to be competitive in the workforce. Another big aspect of the developing and new economies here is in understanding how work is changing, how jobs are changing, how careers and majors should be changing, will be changing. So that means it's completely different as far as, well, what is a chemist? What is a writer? What is a business professional? The things that we teach right now in higher education aren't those things. They're not the realities of what's happening right now out in the workforce. We need to ensure that we are preparing students for the future, not just for right now, but for the future. So that means that if we're right now teaching students about the way things were done 5 years ago, then we're setting them up for failure. I hate to be so blunt, but that's exactly what a lot of us are doing, is setting them up for failure. We need to be setting them up for success by showing them things as far as, how do you manage AI agents? How do you use AI to create all sorts of business reports? How do you use AI to enhance your work, to make you faster? These are the things that they need to have right now. These are the skills that they need to be able to maximize in order to succeed in the workforce. So it isn't just this knowledge part that we focus on. Yes, that needs to be part of there for their foundational knowledge, but we need to be ensuring that they can apply it and they can move on from that very quickly. So this agility aspect, that's an important skill. This ability to be a leader and to be able to quickly learn new concepts and new technologies so that they can implement them, that's what we need to be focusing on as well. So that's a big part of this, is that we need to see what's coming and how to apply it in the future. And that's difficult for us. That's very difficult because we have so much going on as far as all this new technology, but we need to work hard to see about how we can implement this so that the students are really set up for success in order to be able to apply and develop and be part of the solution into the future, because it's just going to become more competitive. But as long as they can use the AI tool that much more and they're okay with that and they can function well with that AI as part of the team, then they will be able to succeed. Because of this quick changes that are always occurring, this needs to be something that, again, I say should be mandated as far as something that an employee provides if it's a big enough employer, or it's something that comes from the government as far as an allowance that, is some sort of tax-free thing and some incentive way of making it so that we can access either through a university or through some system where we can get these type of credentials, certifications, ongoing education. That should be a new thing that will just enhance everything. So I think that should be an important part of this solution, where we can improve our capabilities and upskilling before we need it, as opposed to, oh, hey, you're fired, now go get a new skill. No, it should be this, hey, we're constantly developing, we can develop. Or if a situation happens where you get told by an employer, we're going to not renew your contract, or you're going to be terminated at this date, this can give us this ability to quickly adapt and adjust and improve by getting a micro-credential certification or another degree. A third aspect, and something that you would think I would have put as number one, but no, I decided to put it number three, and that is AI literacy, right? We're no longer in this world of, hey, maybe AI is going to affect things, or maybe in the future AI will affect society. No, it's already happening. It has been happening. So AI literacy should become a mandated aspect of any type of education, whether you're in high school or at the university. This is something that should be part of the curriculum. It should be mandated by the government as far as, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to learn about this. This is a required aspect of your knowledge in order to properly succeed in the economy, properly succeed in simply being a good citizen within the world, right? This is something that needs to be pushed, and it needs to be integrated right now. This is something that should have been integrated a year ago, 2 years ago, because it's so important. And that deals with making sure that students have this awareness of how it's affecting society, capability, prompt engineering, being able to have knowledge as far as the different aspects to prevent them from being scammed by deep fakes, and knowing how to use the technology properly, and then critical thinking associated with how to use AI in an ethical manner, understanding bias, understanding that it isn't perfect and never will be, and then thinking about aspects as far as over reliance and effects on the environment, as well as on myself different ways of using the AI. So those are really important part. AI literacy really needs to be a part of this overall solution. Another big part of this solution deals with ensuring that humans are in the loop. That's a kind of a catchphrase. I'm sure you've heard it before. Humans need to be in the loop with the process of AI. Now, that can be at different areas and in different ways, right? A company should not simply exist via AI. There should be an AI manager, meaning that there's a person that manages some AI at some level. There still needs to be a person at some level to be responsible for certain things, right? We need to be able to say, oh, okay, well, who's in control of this AI? Oh, it's this person. And, at this company, who manages the AI? It's this person. So there's an aspect of responsibility. There's an aspect of ensuring that it's properly being controlled and managed in the right way, that it's affecting society in the right way. People can be held accountable for what they're doing. So that's really important. Now, I want to make sure that I'm being very clear here when I say that there needs to be a human in the loop. That doesn't mean that, hey, we shouldn't have AI. It just means that there needs to be people as part of the process of all of this. Let me give you some examples here, right, to sort of ensure that we're seeing it in the same way and to, again, push it even more as far as the need for AI. It's not just something that should be happening or is happening, but this is a need. We have two different harbors in the United States, two big harbors as this example. One that is almost 100% all AI, but there are still people that manage it, meaning that they're held accountable when things go wrong. They are the ones that can ensure that things are occurring in the proper way. Now, that harbor is this port is very much effective, efficient, and is doing great. We have another one that a bunch of people that work there were threatening to close it down, to destroy all sorts of different other jobs associated with it. Because if the product isn't coming in, you have to think about delivery drivers, people that distribute different things. They would be affected as well. But they didn't care about that because they're working to ensure that they keep all of their jobs. So this port is mainly done by humans in all sorts of different areas, and they're fighting to prevent all automation from occurring. All automation? Yeah, all automation. Even the closing of doors, even really dangerous parts, they want to maintain it so that it's just humans doing it so that nobody loses their jobs. I very much feel for people, right? I don't want anyone to lose their jobs, but in some places and in some instances, we need to move away from those things being done by people. Why? Because it'll save lives. That situation is something that we have to account for as far as moving forward, right? We want to be proactive. We want to develop as a society, and some of those things mean that efficiencies will need to occur in order to prevent the loss of human life and in order to make things quicker and faster and more efficient overall. So we have to account for that. Now, there's another big variable here that's really going to come into play, and that it's going to affect economy and implementation of AI and robotics in many different ways as well. And that is this one item: insurance. Insurance is going to play a big role in this, meaning that if I'm an insurer and I have one, let's say, port that is automated in this way, and so guess what? Last year, let's say that they had 0 deaths, right? So now, as far as an insurer, 0 deaths, 0 accidents, 0 problems because of AI and robotics. I'm going to probably charge them a lot less for insurance because they're probably going to not need that type of replacement for certain things, right? Because of the way that things work, because of efficiencies, because of robotics. As opposed to another port that is full of humans that are doing lots of errors, lots of problems, lots of issues, and even some deaths. Well, now the insurance payout is going to be much more because of those variables. And so that means as insurance, I'm going to have to charge them much, much more in order to account for that. So as a business, and what is the purpose of business once again, right? To make money. That's going to be looked at and go, oh, well then, yeah, I very much need to automate. I very much need to bring in robotics for this to address this and automate this process. Let's take that even further and think about autonomous vehicles. Right now, the way insurance is going is that, hey, if you buy an autonomous vehicle, or let's say an electric vehicle that has autonomous capabilities, your insurance will probably go up. Why? Because there's a lot more going on in that vehicle. So if you get into an accident, it's going to cost more to replace. But the insurance cost is going to slowly go down and down and down. Why? Because that vehicle is going to become much less likely to be in a crash or to be in any type of serious altercation there, because it's being autonomously driven. And the AI is going to be that much more effective, that much better at driving than a regular human. First, it's going to be a small percentage, and then it's going to be a huge percentage, so that insurance is going to go way down. Then it'll cost you way more to actually be driving a vehicle. So you can see how that flip is going to happen in the very near future. And I say my timeline is, once again, in 2030. By the time that we get to 2030, economy will be completely different. I mean, I see AI being integrated into most of the economy, robotics being throughout the economy as well. So that's going to be a major, major aspect of this. So humans in the loop at the appropriate level, I think that's going to be important. And some of this we're going to need to really push. We're going to need to mandate, to say, hey, people need to be there. And that might require some laws, some regulations in order to ensure that there are people in those specific loops, so that we have somebody to hold accountable. And this goes for things like medicine as well. AI is getting better and better, already is better at detecting lots of different types of cancer. But we still want a doctor in order to hold someone accountable for different diagnoses, different treatments. So this is an important thing for us to think about in society as far as how we want to move forward. But I think this is part of the solution, is to ensure that we still maintain human aspects within this, so that we are still in control of the AI overall. And then, of course, my final solution, or final part of the solution, deals with universal basic income, right? That's the sort of the go-to solution, right? But I think that is only part of this. It needs to encompass multiple other things. It can't just be that one thing. And here's the big part about this. This is something that needs to start to occur right now. We need to push for legislation, push for our leadership to start to think about this and integrate this, because how is it even going to be funded, right? A universal basic income, that it's just tremendous to think that we would put this for everyone that lives in the United States, or for whatever country, to try to do that for all of its citizenship. The thing is that this is something that needs to be started to be funded right now, so that in the future, in the near future, when we need it, we'll have funding for it. So this probably is something that needs to be incorporated into the companies that are developing AI, developing robotics, that are benefiting the most from this type of technology. Those are the ones that should have to pay into an appropriate amount, right? We don't want to stifle development. We don't want to stifle the whole capitalism, the way that it works, because that's what's giving us this capability, this enhancement in tools. But there needs to be some realistic thought here, as far as, hey, we need to prepare for this. So we need to develop this type of funding, so that if a lot of people start to lose jobs, or to help people transitioning, there will be a fund that can fully address this. Something that is going to be required much more than just the regular taxes that people pay into it. So that's a necessity that needs to be part of this overall solution. Putting all of these aspects of the solution together, that's how we can move forward. But the big thing here is that it really won't work unless the voices are being heard. So that's where we come in. We have to push for this type of thing to happen. So we in academia, we have to do research to give to our leadership, to say, hey, look, this, based off of this, we need to move forward this way. We need to see how the economy is expanding and developing based off of research as far as how it's being implemented in different businesses. So this is something that has to be pushed forward. We have to be having discussions about this, right? Write in the comments what you think. What are your solutions? We have to have these discussions out there amongst lower level leadership and higher level leadership in the governments, at all places. We need to push for our senators and representatives all around the world to understand that these are important things that are happening. And it needs to start right now, because otherwise it's going to get to a position where it's just too much to handle. But if we start to integrate these things right now, start to look at these solutions right now and incorporate them as that we move forward, then we'll be able to address this and we'll be able to avoid the mass suffering that will happen with people just losing their jobs left and right because of this automation. And it sneaks up on them because it's not being fully covered by the media, or it's not being fully understood by World Economic Forum or economists themselves. We have to ensure that we're sending this message and it's being properly understood so that governments can make the right decision and so that we can have proper funding to ensure that we properly move forward. All right, I hope you got a lot out of this. I'm very interested in your thoughts on this. Do you think my solutions would work, especially if we combine all of them together? Do you have additional solutions? What are your thoughts? Please let me know in the comments so that we can learn from one another and continue to develop. I appreciate everyone's time and look forward to seeing how we can continue to develop this channel and develop education for everyone. And remember that learning is for life.